Have you guys ever had a project not go completely to plan? I thought so. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video to see what happens to me when I try to build a couple of guitars from some pallets. I thought it would be a fun project to try to build a couple guitars completely from pallets. The neck, the body, fretboard, everything. Here is my attempt at making that happen. I'm going to start off this project by tearing down some pallets. Now these pallets are in pretty good shape. Some of them are made with some 2x material. They've got some nice hardwood pieces on here that I think are going to work really well for this project. Now using a sled in my planer, I'll plane these boards down and get them as flat as I can. Once I get one side flat, I can remove the sled and just plane them as normal. After making some measurements, I'll use my circular saw to break these pieces down. This will make it a lot easier to manage. Even though they're not that big of a piece to begin with, having a smaller piece to work with for me works really well. Now I'm just going to lay these out and kind of figure out how I want to orient the grain. Once I decide on a pattern that I like, I'm going to fold these up book match style, and that's how I'm going to join them. I'll keep both pieces just like this while I joint the edge. This will make sure that if there's any variation in the fence angle, the two pieces will make up the difference and it'll come out perfectly square. Remember that video where I changed those joiner knives and about froze to death? It was in preparation for this project that I wanted to get those knives changed. Let's glue these up. Now I know you want to wipe off that squeeze out really bad. Don't do it. Let it harden up, then you can scrape it off. When you just wipe it off, depending on what you might be doing next with the piece of wood, you could be pressing glue into the pores and actually cause you problems if you're dyeing, staining, or finishing of some sort. Now you won't always have an issue. Sometimes it doesn't really make any difference, but I like to be safe rather than sorry, especially if I'm working on a guitar. There we go. Guess I gotta get a couple more of these parallel clamps. I did notice that when I was snugging down these pipe clamps, the pieces wanted to shift a little bit more than they did in these. So, it's interesting. So now while these pieces dry, I can move on to working on the necks and the pieces that are gonna make up the top for this. I'll start by cutting down some pieces that I'll eventually resaw to form the tops for these guitar bodies. And would you believe that this is actually walnut that I found on a pallet? Walnut pallet wood? Who knew? Now I'll run all the pieces that I just resawed through the planer, just to make sure they're all the same thickness. There's one. And two. Does this seem like a lot of work for a pallet guitar? That's a lot of pieces. So now I've got the pieces all laid out for both of the tops. We're getting ready to glue them up. Now, in case you're wondering why I'm putting a top on a pine body, it's because once these are planed down where they're flat, because they had some warp in them, they're just under 1.5 inches thick, and I don't want to go with that thin of a body. I'm okay being under 1.75 inches, but I don't want to go with 1.5 inches. So I'm going to use this top combined with this body to bring that thickness up closer to 1.75 inches. Aha! All right, there we go. Let's let those dry. Now we can work on the neck. To make these necks, I'm going to use the runners from these pallets. I believe these are poplar. Boy, that little planer is really getting a major workout on this project. Pretty sure it's going to be due for some new blades here pretty quick. But back to the project, I've got my pieces milled to the rough thickness. I've got my template here, I'm kind of just laying things out. Now these boards are wide enough for the whole neck, but the headstock is just a little bit too wide, so I need to glue on a couple of small wings. I picked out a couple pieces that match the grain coloring, and I'll just glue those guys on. Yeah. Now I'll move back to the body blanks, and I'll start off with just a quick initial sanding just to smooth these down. Then I'll attach my template and cut out the shape. So up until now, things have been going pretty good with this project. It's from here on out that things started to head south pretty quick. Huh. Well, that's cute. We'll keep going and see how the rest of this works. I see some more splitting right there. I got a feeling that the same thing's gonna happen. I might not be able to use this body. That one's a little bit worse. Well, that didn't work out so good. Actually, after looking at it now, this wood isn't really in that good a shape anyway. It's almost like it's kind of rotted. Probably better that it broke anyway before I got it all the way done. There's another crack right here. I'll keep this body around. I'll use it maybe for testing templates, maybe some pickup templates or something like that. Whatever I need to maybe test a template or a depth or something. So I'm gonna call this body a fail. But that's okay, because luckily I got two bodies, so let's see how this second one routes. After a quick cleanup, I'm now going to drill out the majority of the control cavity. Turns out, I drilled this for left hand when I completely intended to drill it for right hand. That's the tricky part for me being left-handed and building a right-handed instrument. Everything looks correct left-handed, so I didn't even realize that I was drilling this on the wrong side. And I figured since I already put holes in it for left-handed, I might as well make this a left-handed guitar, so I'm just going to move forward with the build. Now I'll use my router and a flush trim bit and hollow out the insides of my control cavity. So now with the template removed, my router bit will go deep enough to route this to the final depth. And I'll give this one last final pass through the drum sander just to make sure it's nice and flat before I glue on the top. This thing's sanded nice and flat. Man, I'm really happy with the way that glue joint came out. That is almost invisible. If you get it in the right light, you can kind of see it. I'm really happy with the way that glue joint turned out. I'm also finding on the top, it's the same way. It's kind of hard to see the exact line down the center, but I put a couple of pencil marks at either end, which will help me line it up. All right, hopefully that's enough clamps. Get that top glued on there. We'll let this dry, come back in a little bit. Cool. As I walked over to turn off the camera and I was walking back over to this body, I noticed a major problem with this thing that I think I'm gonna call a major fail. As I walked back to move the blank to work on the necks, I noticed a shadow between the body and the top, which there is a gap right here in the neck pocket, which, yes, this is gonna be routed away, so that wouldn't really be an issue right there, but if I follow it along, the gap goes down into here a little ways, then it goes to where I have some squeeze out, and then back up here into the upper part of this horn, there's a gap as well. I either didn't get enough glue in there, or I didn't clamp it well enough to get a good glue joint. Now, if this is not ruined, I will probably finish this project up, but I am not gonna do it in this video. So between this badly glued top and this broken off body here, that's pretty much both the bodies for this project that at this exact moment are no good. I'm gonna move on and do something different. I'm a little bit disgusted, but what do you do, right? Just thought I would share this video with you because it happens to everybody. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Leave me a comment. Let me know what kind of things like this have ever happened to you, because I'm sure something like this has happened where you've had to set a project aside and figure out how to really fix something that went wrong. So thanks, guys. We'll see you later.